The first sighting of the Dragon of Dalton Lake occurred in May, 5 months before Washington officially joined the Union. Joe Fisher, a Clallam man who lived alone in a shack on the northern shore of the lake, stumbled into the Wolf's Den saloon one night and began screaming about the creature he'd just seen. Though Joe was generally a reserved man, visiting town once or twice a month to quietly sip whiskey in a corner of the bar, that night he couldn't stop talking about the giant lizard, some monster with skin as white as the moon that had risen from the waters beneath his boat and nearly capsized him while he was out trying to catch trout. The creature had only shown itself briefly, Joe said, surging up from the depths and disappearing a few seconds later. For a moment, the old man thought it might be a log that had dislodged itself from the lake's sediment, but the beast lingered long enough for Joe to make out 4 fat arms with giant webbed fingers and a wide triangular head. The monster studied him with dark marble eyes, as if trying to parse out whether the fisherman was friend or foe, before it dipped back beneath the waves. Few believed Joe's story. He was ancient and, by all accounts, had spent the bulk of his life as a recluse. And anyway, stories of giant monsters were as common on the peninsula as sawdust. Most figured Joe would move on from his tale in a day or two, maybe exhume it every few years when the man felt like spooking some newcomer at the bar. But Joe didn't move on. He returned to the Wolf's Den every night for the next week, looking worse and worse every time he stepped through the door. His eyes sank to 2 dead embers hidden in the leathery folds of his face. He twitched and shivered in his seat, slapping at the air around him like he was being pinched by phantoms. If he talked at all, he spoke only of the dragon, how it came to him in dreams, showed him things. If anyone bothered to ask him what these things might be, he only gnashed his teeth and whimpered, as if the very act of speaking of what he'd seen was too painful. The townsfolk began to give him a wider berth. 2 weeks after Joe's encounter with the dragon, he stopped coming to town. At night, no light emanated from his little cabin across the lake. When the sheriff, Mac Dalton, went to investigate, he found the old man hanging from the branches of a dead tree in his front yard. At his feet, he'd left a sheet of paper neatly folded beneath a rock. 2 words were scrawled on the page in letters that had been retraced again and again, as if Joe was afraid they might be missed. Deep waters.